Jesus. I'm a little loud. And we can uh, live for Jesus as our life is shaped by his presence and his hand is upon it. So the first thing is, and you've heard this most, if not all your life, as long as you've been in church, with Jesus, it's relationship over religion. So we need to understand that Jesus' presence roots us in identity and not performance. So, well, what's the major difference between relationship and religion? Jesus on earth practiced what? Relationship with people, touching them, getting to know them. And he was always get on the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the scribes, because what were they living? They were living religion, which is what? Religion is normally what? Rules, list of rules, regulations, and all this. So there's some scriptures there that I want us to look at. John 15:15. I'm not going to make you look them up tonight. I've got them written down on my phone. John 15:15 says, I no longer call you slaves, because a master doesn't confide in a slave. Now you are my friend, since I have told you everything the Father told me. That's why we can sing that song on Sundays, I am a friend of God. Scripture. Jesus says, I call you friend. Now you got to realize that was a big thing in his day, because there were slaves. You didn't become a friend with a slave, but for the most part. In some instances they did, and slaves would marry sometimes the children, but for the most part they didn't. But he says, I don't call you slaves anymore. I call you friends, because I've told you everything the Father told me, because he said, the master doesn't confide in me. So therefore you're not a slave, you're a friend. Acts 17:28 says, for in him, talking about God, for in him we live and move and exist. As some of your own poets have said, we are his offspring. And this is when Paul was at Athens, and he was debating the religious people, and he was trying to make the point of, remember that he had the altar, it says to the unknown God. He was trying to make it clear to them who the unknown God was, so he used their own philosophers in his argument. To me, that says Paul was very educated, well-rounded, so he knew how to do this. And he says, but in him, in God, we live and move and exist. We have that relationship with him. 1 John 3:1. See how very much our Father loves us. I like this scripture. See how very much our Father loves us, for he calls us his children, and that is what we are. About being in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. But he says down later in the scripture, and I can't remember, around verse 10, I think, but he says, and he gave, I got to get it in my head straight, for those who chose him, they became, or were called, what? Children of God. So we're God's children. That's why at times I go off on a tangent and say, you're special because you're a child of God. You belong to him. He has his hand on you. He is working in your life. So we need to understand that we belong. And belonging comes before behavior. So we sometimes think we have to we have to understand we belong to God. We are his children. Just like I say about my kids, they're my kids. They belong to me. And they're special because they belong to me. And he has a little bit of something. So we need to understand that. So I think we forget that we belong to him. We may say, yes, I know I'm a child of God. Do we? And do